Thank you all for joining us for this, hopefully not a very long webinar. We'll try to do a presentation quickly and then followed by um, some Q&A time on the product as well. Yeah. So um, let me see if I'm able to, there you go. So we want to talk about Profit.ai, our primary platform, which is a combination of three different products that is brought together under one brand called Profit.ai. Um, so we see this as a unifying platform for all different things that you want to do with respect to valuation. Right? So our valuation product has been in the market for over close to 10 years now, and the review product has been in the market for about a little bit less than 2 years, and the workflow is a newer product that is being used by AMCs currently. So we try to bring together these three things in one common platform, driven by our nationwide MLS and public record data. Um, and we also have lots of images available on 70 million plus properties in the country. So that's what drives a lot of our AI as well as the machine learning models that we run through this large scale data lake that we have within the platform. Yeah. Um, so today's focus is going to be profit review, and the kind of capabilities we have within Profit Review. Just want to give you a quick overview before we run into a demo. Yeah. And before I get into this thing, let me do a quick intro of the other speakers who are going to be participating today with me. I have Danny Mancino. Danny, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yep, Danny Mancino, EVP, Product Solutions, Data Solutions, and Sales. Many people on the call may already know me, but I've been around the industry for quite a while, and just excited to introduce you to our profit review platform.
Thank you, Danny. And I also have Hari, who's our product owner for PropMix and for Profit Review. Hari, you want to say hi?
Hello everyone, I'm Hari. I'm the product owner for the Profit Review. Take care of all your requirements, all the stuffs, and build this product. Nice to meet you, everyone. Very excited to have you all of you guys here.
Yeah, so Hari is here to keep Danny and me honest on anything that we say about what is there in the platform, what is not there in the platform, and any questions like how long it takes to get it done. Hari is making notes, so what we promise here. So,
Yeah.
great. So let me quickly give you this overview, and then we'll turn into a detailed demo of the product in a minute here. So the rule sets are the core capability that has been there in many of the any of the quality control platforms traditionally, right? I mean, we covered the UAD rules, UCDP rules, and custom rules, and all that stuff. That is the that is we see that as the legacy of quality control for appraisals, right? But the disruption really comes through um, the availability of data that has been going on for the last 5 6 years in this space, or I should say longer than that. But the data consolidation and machine learning and AI capabilities that have been built on top of the data has been happening over the last primarily over the last 5 to 6 years in our industry, right? And then the newer capabilities around image analysis, language analysis, the LLMs that we are powering, etc. All the AI capabilities that has been coming into the market very recently, and our product primarily brings together all these capabilities in one simple, easy way to do quality control for appraisals. You know, so we will get into a lot more detail around how do we do comparable analysis because we do have nationwide MLS and public record data that powers that. Neighborhood analysis, which gets into more like valuation bias analysis. We call it valuation bias. It is primarily about figuring out what's the difference in the neighborhoods of the comparables. And then language bias, which is kind of explicit bias. We see neighborhood analysis more like implicit bias in valuations. Language bias is something very explicitly there, right in front of your eyes, the language that is telling you that is the appraiser is being too biased, right? And then the photo analysis and the floor plan analysis, which are driven largely by our image data that we have for 70 million plus properties. We have a history of images across the country. So if a comp is inserted into an appraisal, we can still use like the 20 other images or 30 other images we have for the comp to figure out if it's the best comp or not, right? And the floor plan analysis that the floor plan attached in the document itself. And we also have lots of different integrations. Danny will get into a lot more detail as he goes through the demo on how do we convert PDF to Mismos. We have APIs for everything. Integration is seamless. We do customized outputs. Your PDF that you want to get as output, branded outputs out of the system, that's possible as well. And we have integration straight into ac.gov for license verifications and all that standard stuff that you'd expect. Yeah? So given that, let me turn this over to Danny at this point, who can walk through the product, and then I'll come back for another show and tell in a few minutes after Danny finishes that. Danny, I'm going to try to stop sharing this so you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was told that there was some noise on my line, so if anybody does hear any kind of static, let me know. Let's get on in here.
All right.
So again, good to meet you all, and good to see you all. So as Amesh mentioned, we do have all of the traditional UAD, UCDP rules in our system, but also we have the ability to allow you to set up custom rules for various clients. You can set up rules for property type, form type. We've got a number of different forms that are available in the system currently. You could also edit the access, so you can provide access to appraisers to be able to come in and view their orders, not to be able to edit, but to at least view their orders, managers, supervisors, you name it, as well as the ability to actually edit your rules. So you can edit your rule sets by category, by section within the report, or you can edit rules individually on any one of the rules in our rule set. So if you open up any of these rules, you could also change the severity of a rule from an alert to a warning to an error. Or if you wanted to turn a particular rule into a hard stop, you have that option as well. There are also several rules within the system where you can change the variance from 10 to 20 or 30% if you wanted to flag something that may be outside of the parameters that you would want for lot size or for building area or for even the adjustment amounts. If the adjustment amounts are too high or too low, you have all of those options to make those changes from within the application. So that's the little talk on the rules and what can be done there. I'll also show you, we've got a laundry list of unacceptable words. So you can see here that we've currently got about 750 or so words. If there's any words that you want to add to the order, to the application, you can add your own words. You can disable words that you don't want enabled in your report, so it's not firing unnecessarily. But the system is pretty flexible in that sense. Okay, now going into the report, you have the option of uploading a PDF of an appraisal report, or you have the option of uploading a Mismo file with an embedded PDF. Uploading the Mismo file will run the rules off of the Mismo, and then from the PDF, we'll extract all of the images, the maps, the floor plans, the licenses, insurance, everything that would be an image within that PDF. We would extract that so we can run AI on all of the images and all of the documents within. If you upload a PDF, we'll actually convert that file to a Mismo file with the embedded PDF. And then if you did upload it as a PDF, you'd have the option of downloading it as a Mismo or if you uploaded the MISMO with a PDF, you'd have the option of downloading the PDF that was embedded in that MISMO. So the system gives you a lot of flexibility. So if you only have one file type, you can download the other file type and so on. We also will allow for a summary of this report. So you'll notice on this front page, the dashboard, when a file is uploaded, we're going to identify the order number from the order from the file, who is the client, the lender in most cases, the type of report that it was. So you don't have to preset the report type. Will automatically identify the type of report. So if it was a 1004, a 1073, a 2055, the type of property that we're working with, who the appraiser was in this case, um, the type of assignment, was it a repurchase or a refinance, and the appraisal date on this assignment, and also when you started that file. We'll also generate a quick score on that report based on all of the errors, warnings, and alerts that we found within the report. You'll see that right here. So if you did download a summary file, it's going to basically contain all of what you see here, along with the details on each one of these alerts and warnings and errors that fired. We'll also identify hard stops within the report. So a hard stop in this case here, I can show you real quick. And full disclosure, this is my property. This is an appraisal that was actually done several years ago that we've updated. So you get the sense here. So owner of public record on this is my wife and myself. But for example, what we put in here is my wife's maiden name. So this way you'll notice that the borrower on the refinance may or may not be the same person or the same entity that's the owner of public record. So we're identifying that as potentially an issue. If it turns out that you realize this is not a big deal, very easy, click resolve, and that error goes away. We'll also look at the data within the report and compare it to public record data. So if there's any issues within the data in the report that is different from what's in the public record, we'll indicate that here as well. And simple, if you wanted to know what that actually was, you'll notice here that the public record parcel number does vary slightly. Again, very simple, easy to clear. And if you did clear it, um, it'll tell you that it's overwritten by the reviewer, and that will ultimately go into the end product when it's all done. And every one of these rules that you see here is live. So if I click on any rule within the report, we'll snap to that field in the report. Or if I wanted to just jump right to that rule and I see that there's an error, it'll bring that up here as well. Nice and easy. Well, we built this so this way it looks and feels much like your appraisal report would. So if you were eyeballing it, looking at it, on a PDF and trying to make determinations, this will save you the trouble of having to do so. And you will notice that we broke it down into each section, as you would see in that in the appraisal report. So in this case here, we also identified that there was some potential bias language. If we identify bias language in the report, we're identifying it in context. We're not identifying individual words. So those unacceptable words that we were looking at before aren't necessarily going to be the reason why we found some bias language, but we do look for certain words, and then in context, were those words speaking of an individual, a market, a neighborhood, things along those lines. So in this case here, there was some language about races and religions and then ethnically focused facilities and things like that. So again, this is something that's going to pick that up. If you find that it's okay, you can resolve it. Or if you wanted to turn that into a hard stop, and ultimately when you send it back to the appraiser, um, you'll be able to make that change, enter your comments, and then that will be part of the notification that goes back to the appraiser. We're also looking at the data within the report consistent and making sure that the consistency is there as well. So in this case here, we're seeing 75% built up, but the one unit housing is only showing 55. So we're just going to bring that to your attention so you can make that determination if that's something that you wanted to address with the appraiser. And then in the site improvements, same would apply if there's any bias terminology, bias languages speaking about churches and mosques and synagogues and things like that. It's gonna draw your eye to it. We're also looking at the images to determine, is this property what it's being appraised as and what the appraiser is saying it is. In this case here, the appraiser is saying it's a Cape Cod, but our image recognition is identifying this property as a ranch. So how do we know? What we do is we'll look at the photos and you'll see that from the street level, it does look like a ranch. Very easy to point that out. But as you look through the photos, there is a second floor, which would be more indicative of a Cape Cod. So image recognition is identifying one thing, the appraiser identified it as something else, and the appraiser in this case would be correct. So again, easy, resolve it, move along. We're also looking to make sure that, again, the data is consistent with what we see in the images. So in this case here, we're seeing that there is no microwave being identified in the report. We can open these photos again, look at the kitchen, and there is a microwave. So anything that might be missing or that might be abnormal, we're going to call it out, bring that to your attention. And then we're also going to look at a number of different things with regard to the data consistency. So what's in the report from the appraiser, we're going to compare it to public record data, and we're also going to compare it to what we see in this case in the floor plan for this property. So you'll notice here that the room count in the appraisal is saying 8 rooms. Public records indicates that it's 11. Again, simple lookup. Public record room count says 11. This is coming directly from the assessor's records. So you can then make that determination what you want to do with it. Then we're also looking at the room count with regard to the floor plan. Floor plan sees 4 beds, 4 baths. So this is just going to bring your attention to it. If there was any anomalies that weren't matching or weren't adding up, the system's going to call that out. And again, every one of these fields that you see here, if there was anything in particular you wanted to jump to, feel free, jump to it. Or if you wanted to snap on any one of these fields, it'll bring your attention right to that rule off to the right. And then from the sales comparison standpoint, we are going to look at all of the necessary rules and flag anything that would be necessary to bring to the appraiser's attention. In this case here, comp number 2 happened to be more than 365 days from the time of the appraisal. So why'd you choose that comp? Just, you want to bring that to their attention. The other thing that you might want to do, as I mentioned before, is we're looking at a 25% variance on site size. So if you needed to, you can come in and change that variance for this report or for all of your reports going forward. If I wanted to make that change here and click save, it'll ask me if I want to rerun the rules or if I want to rerun the rules on all of the reports that have already been submitted to the system. And then from a condition and quality standpoint, again, we're looking at the images inside the appraisal to determine whether or not this C3 that's being determined by the appraiser is consistent with the image recognition. We see it as a 3.8, closer to 4, and the appraiser saw it as a C3. So you can review all of the photos within, you can open it up and then all of the photos and make your own determination that the appraiser was right or the appraiser was not right. But all of that is going to be brought up. And then we'll also look at the interior of each of the comps. So as Umesh mentioned earlier, we've got listing data and we've got images on all of those listings. So when we see that this property is potentially a 2.7 or a 3 in our image recognition, but the appraiser called it a C4, I mean a Q4, you have the photos to back up why was it determined as a Q3 in our system as opposed to what the appraiser saw. And every one of those listings is live, so you can open it up and review the data as well as the images within each one of them. So everything you see here is going to show you the listing data along with the public record on every property in the appraisal. And then, we could walk through every one of these fields, but the same would apply as we move along. Everything is live and viewable and editable. We'll also show you the differences between all of the different data sets. So the original would be the appraisal submitted data, and then what was submitted by the MLS, and then what was also on public record. So you'll notice in some cases, and I could point one out here, where the MLS is saying that this particular comp had 16 rooms. The appraiser said 9, and public record said 7. Someone is correct or incorrect. This is more for informational purposes. It's not going to call out an error, but at least it gives the reviewer the information they need to determine whether or not it needs to go back to the appraiser. We'll also go out and pull in all of the available comps that were there at the time of the appraisal. So whether this appraisal was done 2 days ago or this appraisal was done 3 years ago, we'll look at the comps from that time frame and show you what was available at that time, both sold as well as active. So anything that was on market at that time will be shown as well. Again, they're all live. You can open up any one of these and look inside. The benefit to this, of course, is you can determine whether or not the comps that were used were the most similar comps to your subject property. So in this case here, there was only one comp that would be more similar to the comp that was one of the comps that was selected. So the appraiser is more or less in line. You also can optionally modify your search. So if need be, you wanted to find out why did they use comps that were a little further away if there were comps that were much closer. So you can change this to a half a mile, or you can expand the search to find comps that were a little bit further away but more similar. So the system allows you to do that too. And then we'll analyze those comps. So we'll bring forth the 6 most similar comps that we find in the system, as well as the 6 most similar listings, if there were 6. And then we'll analyze those and show you where your subject lands with regard to the comps that were selected by the appraiser, the comps that were selected by us, and then the listings that were selected by us as most similar to the subject. And we do offer various options here, various insights that you'd be able to look at. We also offer a neighborhood analysis. So if the properties that were selected were outside the neighborhood, maybe there was some implicit bias that might have been taken into consideration. We do bring all of that information. In this case here, all of the properties happen to be in the same census tract, but I do have an example here where you've got properties that were selected far away and outside of that census tract. Now, where I live in Freehold, New Jersey, everything is pretty similar and within the census tract. If you were doing something in a market like Brooklyn, New York, or some urban area where a few hundred feet can change the, the conditions and qualities of homes, then this is particularly helpful. So we'll show you what the analysis on those properties was from a photo standpoint, and if there was situations where it wasn't similar, we'll bring that to your attention. We'll also tell you if there's any issues with regard to the comps being too close to a busy street, a cemetery, or any Superfund sites and stuff like that. We can bring that information as well. and then we'll show you what the mix of the land uses were in each of those markets. But probably as important, if not more important, is showing you the mix of race and ethnicity in each one of those markets. So you do have the ability to see what that looks like. So 61% white, 73% white, how much, the next largest category of occupants in that area would be. And then also if there was occupancy levels, income levels, things along those lines. Property values are increasing here or decreasing there. We'll bring that information in as well into the neighborhood analysis.
Just a note there, Danny. I mean, it
Yeah,
also on the map, you also can see the heat map within the map itself to see any differences in shades, right? So that'll kind of tell you that
right,
one the subject census tract versus the other neighborhoods which are different. Yeah, just want to
right.
point that out. Yeah. All right.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. So moving along, again, reconciliation. In this case here, there was no income approach, but there was data in that field. So this is just calling that out and making you aware that there was, something incorrect inside the appraisal itself. And then we'll look at the appraiser information. In this case, the appraiser's license was not consistent with what ASC.gov had for New Jersey. So this license number is not a valid number. So we'll let you know that that's incorrect. And if the license has expired, and we also have the ability to look at the image of the license as well, and then make sure that the license itself that's in the appraisal matches up to the data that's in the appraisal too. We also will look at the entire addendum that was attached to the file, and if there were any items within the addendum, whether it be the bedroom counts, the bathroom counts, the neighborhood information. If there's any inconsistencies within the fields in the report and the addendum text, we'll bring that to your attention as well as any bias language that might be there. And again, looking at the photos, we're going to identify any compliance issues that may be showing in the photos. In this case here, we're showing that there's faces in the frame, and then there's also a cross visible. So, any religious artifacts, or, if there's a picture on the wall, or if there's people in the photo, we will bring that to your attention. If there's any animals in the photos, if there's any license plates that are visible, people that might be there. So we'll flag those compliance issues. Also, we're looking for any kind of inspection damage. If if it's cluttered, maybe it's covering up some inspection damage. If there's any damage to the walls, the windows, the ceiling, wherever the issues may lie. And then you could look at each one of these images individually, and then also see if there was any compliance or inspection issues that needed to be reviewed. We also provide conditions like neighborhood conditions and inventory, the inventory analysis for that this appraisal. We're looking at what was in the appraisal as well as comparing it to what was in our data. And then the system has a built-in out-of-the-box checklist, but this is fully customizable. You can add whatever questions that you wanted to ask the reviewer to complete, and or if you wanted to make any changes to this, that's available. And also, if you needed to update this, or if you needed to send it back to the appraiser, you can do so. In this case here, the appraiser, the email would be captured from the appraisal itself, but then any comments that you may have made throughout your assessment of the appraisal, those would automatically be entered in here. But if there weren't any comments, you could add your own comments, decide which fields or which sections, categories, or any individual rules that you want to send them or not send them. and give them all of the information that they would require to update their appraisal. So if I went and sent this off, I'd click on here, send the notification, and you'll notice here an email that I would have received coming from the system. Now, the system could be your system. It doesn't necessarily have to be coming from Profit Review, but it'll tell the appraiser what needed to be done. If there were any notes that you added to the appraisal, I mean to the request, they would be included here. And then there's also a report that will show them exactly what they needed to see, what they need to review and correct within the report. So as I go through this, you'll notice that we show the history on this file. So in this case here, we had received a review, sent it back to the appraiser, got an updated review, and then I also have the ability to look at the two versions of that report, and then you'll see that this is what was submitted originally. This is the second file that was submitted by the appraiser where any of the hard stops or warnings may have been corrected. So you get you can, at a glance, you'd be able to very easily see at any point within your review if there was any history on this appraisal in particular. Once everything is accepted within your checklist, you'd then have the option of approving the appraisal and then moving it along to your lender. So really, really intuitive. And then there's also an option here to download a file. This file will essentially be all of the work that was found, all of the errors and everything that was found, as well as all of the information that we identified in the report. That would include the additional comps, the the analysis of all of the data, the neighborhood analysis. That would all be included in the downloaded report as well. So that you'd be able to download and keep and save in your work file. You also have, as I was showing you the history, so you do have the option of looking at the earlier version. So if you did want to compare to, this earlier version to the latest version, it's as simple as just selecting the version of the report that you want to look at. We have seen in cases where there's as many as 4 or 5, even more versions of a report because it's had to be sent back to the appraiser for updates for this or that along the way. So the system gives you the all of that flexibility and all of the capabilities. You also, just one other thing I'll point out, as we were looking at these comps and the top 50 comps, if there was any comp that you think that the appraiser should have used, we will also offer an option where you can download these listing sheets. And then when you send it back to the appraiser, you can also send the listing sheet along with it. So this way the appraiser knows why you said this is a comp that we probably should have considered. So just
Hmm.
just another benefit to the system.
One quick item, Danny. I mean, I don't know, maybe you already covered this. Are you able to show the floor plan analysis, or did you
Yes,
already show that?
I did show that, but we can go back and look at it
Okay, you
again.
did. Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
Right. Um,
So the floor plan analysis here would give me an option of opening up that floor plan. So this way you can, if it says that there were 4 baths, are there 4 baths? Yes, there are. 4 bedrooms? Yes, there are. That type of thing. So the floor plan, so we're reading the floor plan, we're looking at the images, we're reading the documents, doing all of that stuff to make sure that the data and the report is consistent all the way through.
yeah, I just want to point out that floor plan, even though it was in a kind of reasonably poor quality, actually, that image. So we were
Yeah,
able to pick up the fact that there are so many beds and baths in that floor plan.
correct.
Yeah, to cover. Yeah,
Right.
very good.
So that's
Awesome.
the crux of it.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Danny. There are a few questions that have been coming through. Either maybe we can
Okay.
handle it a few of them now, and then I'm thinking that some of these questions that I kind of cut and paste here for myself as they were coming, maybe we can address a few while we are doing the demo right here, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So one of the questions that came in was, what kind of forms do we support? Um, like 1004, I think that's what they mean by that,
Yeah,
1004, and also two questions there, that can you also validate a BPO or an AVM report? Um, that was the
yeah,
question.
yeah. So the rule sets are out of the box will include the standard, the standard most common GSE forms, but we also do have customers who have custom BPOs that we are running through our system. And anything that we can receive an XML version of that report, we can then convert to Mismo and ultimately run that through. And then if there's a PDF embedded, again, we could take the images out of that PDF and still run them through the system through the same image analysis engine.
So maybe related to that is also this other
Mhm.
question about PDR. Can we review a PDR using this platform? And that was the other question.
Yeah, well, yeah. Again, any document that we can get an XML version of, we'll be able to convert it to a Mismo. We are working on looking at the most common formats for various forms to run through our OCR engine as well, to be able to convert a PDF perhaps to a Mismo and then run it through, whether it be a PDR or an AVM or whatever it may be. But currently, the best approach would be ingest an XML, convert it, and then run it through.
Yeah. So our OCR, just to address that, I mean, our OCR capability can actually consume any valuation PDF and extract, for example, subject property information, sales comparison grid, final reconciliation of value, all the usual expected portions of a valuation document. We can automatically extract them and generate a Mismo from it, right?
Yeah,
So once our goal is always to convert anything that comes in into a Mismo, because all our rules and everything can refer to a Mismo. Any field in a Mismo can be referred to, right? So that's the idea of converting that to a Mismo. Yeah.
right.
Um, and there is
Any
another
other
question.
questions?
Yeah. Yeah. This one was about, does your service, do you use a third party service for your photo analysis? Yeah.
So we have our own homegrown, but we do also use a third party to make sure that um, we're getting all of the available information. So it's kind of a blended approach to make sure that we don't miss anything. And if it turns out that we have to use multiple sources to make the best possible product, then that's what we're going to offer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think maybe along in this context, just one more question.
Hmm.
Can you white label or generate a JSON output? I think that's what that means. Generate a JSON output. Yeah.
A JSON output. Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, I can address that. So
yeah, okay.
yes, we do provide white labeling for the platform. I mean, it is all, first of all, two things. That is, the outputs are all can be branded. Maybe you can pull up a sample PDF. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. So this PDF that comes out of the platform is it can be totally branded. Whatever the output needs to be. This is our out of the box output here. It can be any output that goes in there with the AMC's logo or the appraiser's logo, etc. It can go in there, right?
Right.
And the application itself can also be a kind of white label where the branding information will go is actually, if you go back to the application. So where the profile picture is, the New York Yankees picture that Danny has there, next to the
Sorry.
profile picture will be the um, no, next to the profile and between the company, right there. If you can just point to that, right, yeah, right in that area. Well, even before you click on the drop down, right in that area will be the logo of your company that will go in there. If you prefer to kind of put your logo on this one as well, yeah, so that
Yeah.
it's very clear that which company under which company you're working on. Yeah. So those are two. And in terms of JSON output, yeah, we do have APIs for everything. So the whole platform is on an API platform, so anything can be extracted. The whole result set is available as a JSON, and that is how we integrate review into our order management platform as well with an API, right? And the same API is available for anybody else to integrate as well, and that comes out as JSON outputs. Yeah.
Right.
Very good. Great, Danny. I think
Any
those
other
are
questions?
more questions. I want to address them right after we walk through some of the use cases as well. Yeah. So let
Okay.
me jump back to sharing my screen here. Very good. Are you
There
guys
you
able
go.
to see the screen now? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we want to kind of cover a few additional things around what are the various use cases we support. I mean, the platform, there was a good lead-in question. That's why I want to kind of cover that question before I got in here. That is, it is white label friendly. We have a large set of APIs to support all kinds of integration options, right? Yeah, so here are a few use cases that our customers are currently using Profit Review for, right? What we call the edge review. That is, even before an appraisal is actually submitted to an AMC, we can open up the same platform to appraisers, right? So it's a completely role-based platform where you can bring in as an AMC or a lender, you can bring in your appraisers into the system and let them do the reviews, submit their appraisals for a review first, and make sure it passes all a set of basic rules even before it is actually submitted to a lender or an AMC, right? So, and maybe they can attach a certificate that they can download something from Profit Review and say that, yep, I went through this review. Here is my pass certificate from Profit Review, and I'm submitting this. And this is actually being used by one of our AMC clients right now to make sure that every appraisal is passing some basic set of rules before it comes into the AMC. And the AMC might actually decide on additional criteria to decide to see if they want to do a deeper review on some of the appraisals or not, right? So that is one use case where we can open up the whole platform to directly to appraisers as well. Yeah. And another way it is being used currently is for direct integration into order management systems. It is integrated into our order management systems, but it can also integrate with any other order management system in the market where our APIs can be used to submit reviews, get back results from the review, and you can get back either just a score and decide to continue with this or kick it back to the appraiser if the score doesn't reach a particular threshold value, right? So those kind of options are available. And the regular in-depth QA reviews is what you'd expect. I mean, that's what the platform is primarily built for reviewers to get in there and do their deep review of any appraisal. And you can set up like a client or geography specific rules as well, like for a particular state. There was one of those questions. I think I saw a question come up here. Can you set rules by state or client? That was one of the questions that came up. Yes, you can set up rules for a rule set for any particular purpose, right? For a client specific rule sets or state specific or county specific, however deep you want to take it, right? You can set up those rule sets. All right. So those are just one sample set of use cases. Any of your use cases, would love to kind of have a conversation and try to see how this can be customized for your specific purposes. Yeah. So we want to end on this note, and then we'll come to more questions that are coming up there. So why Profit Review? That is, what are our key differentiators? Like I was saying at the beginning, quality control has been there for a long time. In the form of rule sets mainly. But as the technology has been improving, our goal is to kind of automate as much as possible the whole review process to cut down the time as well as see how you can stop an appraiser from even coming into the door with a lot of automation in place already, right? So some of the key differentiators for us from when we look at our competition in the marketplace is, yeah, we can validate first and second generation PDFs directly, so no need for us to get MISMO XMLs. This is going to change as we move into UAD 3.6, etc. We'll get a lot more XMLs coming in. I also want to take that note right now, maybe to say that's one of the questions as well that came up. Do you support UAD 3.6? Yes, we do. Well, we will start supporting in April. Next month, we'll have full support for UAD 3.6, and we are working very closely with Freddie and Fannie to get this certified as well. That is using their UAD compliance APIs as well as our own compliance APIs that we have built, all the rule sets, etc. We are going through that certification process with Freddie and Fannie right now. Yeah. So we will notify everybody once UAD 3.6 is fully there within the platform. Yeah. And yeah, so generation of PDFs. Yeah, well, we can accept any first or second generation PDFs and convert that to MISMO. Yeah. Another thing is our automated photo analysis. Like Danny was mentioning earlier, we have many proprietary capabilities in addition to using third-party services, which a combination of those makes it one of the best in the industry to avoid false negatives or false positives, right? So we do, and we do have access to that large number of pictures that you can now do comp analysis on any of the photos that comes as part of the comps as well. Yeah, so that is built into the platform. Our floor plan analysis can pick up a lot of detail around, from the sketches. It could be an exterior sketch or a detailed floor plan. We can pick up a lot of information and make sure that we check on data consistencies. All right. Similarly, using natural language for data consistencies, that Danny was showing that with the addendums, where we can pick up a lot of information from addendum text or commentary text and reconciliation. Wherever there are English comments, we can pick up that information and match that up against data consistency, as well as a lot of the sentiment analysis on quality and condition of the property. We can pick up a lot of that information, right? So all that is part of our NLP capabilities. And we did talk to you about the nationwide MLS data and public record data that is built into the platform. So it makes it a very comprehensive single platform to do all reviews very consistently. Right? You don't need to leave this and go look for data somewhere else on MLS or anywhere else. No need to go to Redfin or Zillow to find comps to make sure that it is actually the best comps have been selected or not. Right? So it is all built into the platform in one place. And the neighborhood analysis is a very unique capability that many of our competitors do not have. This, that is, be able to see those heat maps that Danny was showing and look at all the various, it could be market trends, comparisons between two neighborhoods, or demographic comparisons, etc. So you can do all that stuff in one place. Potentially highlights any implicit bias that might have happened during the selection of the comps, right? So that's what we are trying to catch using the neighborhood analysis capabilities. And finally, it is totally customizable. So we very often actually implement what ultimately the customers need, the customizable rule sets. If you have a rule set, that was another question that came up. Actually, let me look through these questions that came up. Did I miss something here? Yeah. The question was, how long does it take to get a custom rule implemented in the system, right? That was a question that came up. That came up very early on when you're doing the rule set overview, Danny. So it typically takes us about 48 hours to implement a new rule that refers to an existing MISMO XML element, if it is fully customizable. But we already have a lot of customization available to you, part of the rule set itself. You can edit the rule set, change thresholds, a lot of things you can do it by yourself, or we can help you set them up upfront. But if you have any rule that does not exist in our rule set already, that'll take us about 48 hours to get it in there if it refers to an existing Mismo XML field. On the other hand, if it is also dependent on some other either a photo, some data item that we extracted from an image, or MLS data or public record data, it might take us a little bit longer than that. But that's typically our turnaround time on that. So that's about rule sets. Yeah, I think I addressed already the question that do we have control on I'm sorry, to customize the rules. Yeah, I think I addressed that as part of that. Okay, very good. So that is the questions. I think there's one more question that came up. Yeah, UAD 3.6 next month. Yes, yeah, we're planning to be able to consume. I think the question is about uh, tell us more about UAD 3.6 support. In this product, our goal is to consume UAD 3.6 XMLs, or I should say the zip files, into the platform and be able to run the same set of rules that we already have, which will now refer to, instead of the Mismo 2.6 fields, it will refer to the UAD 3.6 fields in the Mismo. And Hari, please feel free to jump in and correct anything that I'm saying around Unit 3.6. Hari is deep in the implementation right now. They're going through the testing process currently. Feel free to jump in, Hari, anytime. So we're going to be able to access zip files. We currently extract images from PDFs, right? Hopefully we don't have to do that, but we will still continue to do that as well. Images will come as part of the zip file going forward. So we'll pick up those images and process those images as well. But then if there are any images in the PDF that are not there in the zip file, we could pick those up as well, potentially. So hopefully I kind of answered. If there are more questions on UAD 3.6, I'm happy to kind of shoot us an email, and or we know who the questions are coming from, so we'll kind of reach out to you as well for sure. Yeah. Um, any other questions? Anything, Danny or Hari? Anything else you guys want to cover?
No, I just wanted to first of all thank everybody that came, but also anybody that was interested in testing the service. Reach out, let us know. Happy to open it up to allow you to run some files through it at no charge, and just to get you comfortable and familiar with the system. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, that is the sales hat Danny always wears. So.
Yeah, I want to cover just like reiterate the same thing from the technical side too. Like all the complete product is customizable. Take up any rules with respect to like UAD, UCDP, or even like if you want to write rules on the images or anything that you want to see or customize on the images, everything is customizable. We will help you on the while onboarding stuff itself. Like you'll get a list of all the rules that needs to be implemented, what are the changes needs to be done. It's the platform is kind of a plug and play with all almost like many workflow management systems too. Like we could easily integrate and get these results also. So it's a completely customizable platform. Any customization that you want to do, we could definitely do it at the shorter time.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks, Danny. I did miss one question that came up here. The question was about, can we refer to any field in the appraisal in the rules? Sorry, I'm not. Okay, let me. I think the question is about, can we refer to in the rule set? Can we refer to any of the fields in the Mismo XML? I think that's the question, Hari. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now the rule comes out of the box, but like any rules that you want to introduce, like it can handle any fields, like it's the data is readily available. We have a rule engine where we could just write up queries and like rules on top of it. Like so whatever data, whatever the attributes that is there in the XML, we could write up a rule on top of it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and our rule sets are, or we have a scripting language for the rules to make it very quick. And when we say we can pull something together within 48 hours, we can get that implemented into production, a brand new rule that you need. is because we have a scripting language. That's what is making it easy for us to move to 3.6 as well, because we have references to a standard set of fields or attributes of a property, attributes of an adjustment, and so on, right? I mean, we have a large data dictionary of our own. And then that data dictionary in turn refers to a MISMO XML field 2.6 or a 3.6 MISMO XML field. It can refer to any of those, right? So as long as if it isn't the MISMO, we can refer to it through our data dictionary, and we can do those translations very quickly, right? Yeah, very good. Yeah, that was one question I think I missed. Very good. Yeah, if nothing else, I think thank you everyone for joining today, and appreciate it. We will distribute the recording. Nobody asked that question, but I'll go ahead, and that's a common question that people usually ask. We will send out the recording of this webinar after the session is done, maybe by over the weekend or Monday. You should receive it. And uh, there will be future sessions, most probably on some of the use cases that we covered today, with the companies which are using those use cases with us. So that may be more interesting as well in terms of learning how other people are using the platform and being successful with it. So we look forward to seeing you again in one of the future sessions. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you.